Let's be real. 2020 was pretty much a pile of poo. A pile of poo that's been set on fire and dropped on your doorstep steaming. I don't know if that actually happens in real life, but it happens in TV and movies, and that's good enough for me. And I know that it's so tempting to just stamp out the fire, ignore the mess it made, and just run away from it all. But with the poo on your shoe, that would just make more of a mess. And forgetting about 2020 and jumping headfirst into 2021 without any reflection first, that's the equivalent of running away with poo on your shoe. And I promise that's the last time I mention poo. Similarly, we can't just forget about everything that happened this year and move on to the next one. It's a mistake and a missed opportunity to move on from it all without reflecting and reviewing on this mess that has been 2020 first. So I have designed a flexible review exercise and a free Notion template to match that will help you reflect, and I'm here to walk you through it. Because in the Work Brighterverse, we have our own spin on the old blockbuster reminder, be kind, rewind. We like to say, be kind to yourself, rewind yourself. And to me, the harder a time period was, the more important it is to kind of rewind your footage from that, rewind the tape, and review it. Because having some distance from these experiences can give you a new perspective on them. If you follow Work Brighter stuff, you know that I am absolutely not about toxic positivity and saying stuff like, oh, everything's okay as long as you've learned a lesson. But hey, even if things aren't okay, and if saying, oh, I learned a lesson can only cancel out like 1% of that, 1% of a huge mountain of crappiness is still a significant amount worth paying attention to. So here are 4 questions to help you do that. Step 1 is to identify your yays of the year. A whole year is hard to get through, any year, but especially this one. And you did it. You accomplished a lot, even though it doesn't feel like it. Least of all, you're here, and that's enough. And so even if you're not as far as you thought you'd be by now, I want you to celebrate all of the progress you've made. Think of the projects you've finished, the ones that you are closer to finishing than you were last January. Think about the problems you've solved, the relationships you've nurtured, the smiles and laughs that you've shared. Don't leave them behind to forget about. Name them, celebrate them. No matter how small they feel, they can be your proof that you can do things. In a year like this, we all need some of that. And feel free to put surviving or living in a pandemic on that list. Part B of this question is to then just dig deeper into what those accomplishments mean and how you can take that into account in the future. Like, what can you do to keep up that momentum, to lean into and double down on your wins, to nurture the seeds that you've planted. They say that you're better off optimizing your strengths than correcting for your weaknesses. To me, that says that reflecting on your wins is even more important than reflecting on your losses. So this first step is very important. Step 2 of the whole brighter review process is to recognize the rough spot. In any given year, not everything will go as planned. And I know I'm starting to sound redundant now, but 2020, that shit was hard. And focusing on your wins does not mean you need to be in denial about your losses. Like I said before, no room for toxic positivity around here. So acknowledge those weak or rough spots, because it can be really freeing and liberating to recognize them once you've had some distance from them after the fact. And part 2 of this question is, again, just dig deeper. Ask yourself sort of why, or what can you learn from this? Because not only can it feel freeing to recognize that not everything's fine, it can also tell you so much about yourself if you dig into why. So depending on what your losses or meh moments are, there is a real chance of getting stuck in a repetitive cycle with them if you don't observe and try to learn something from them. So real quick, we're just going to acknowledge those mistakes and what lessons there might have been in them, and then we're going to make like Ariana and say thank you next. Step 3 is to grin about growth. And yes, annual reviews are objectively better when they contain alliteration. Thank you so much for asking. Now it's time to look at the ways you've grown and learned this year. Because between the wins and the losses and all of the moments between them both, you grew so much. You grew every damn day, because growth isn't always linear and it isn't always vertical. Maybe one branch of your life house plant didn't grow taller, but another branch sprouted completely anew and another older branch had a new leaf bloom. So now I want you to take things from the first two steps and write down how you grew from them. That might be things like new skills learned, new habits built, new friends made, what have you. And finally, step 4 is starting to look forward. Now that we've spent some time looking backwards, it is time to turn back around and face front. Step and pivot. This step is not the time for full on, full out annual planning. You can check out my video on my planning process for that, but it's starting to shape your vision for that process. Thinking about the big picture that you want to paint next year. Consider yourself Bob Ross, and the next year is your happy little trees. Start filling in what goals you want to reach, what habits and routines you want to have. Think about what kind of person you want to be, how you want to spend your time, things like that. This is all info that it's really helpful if you start thinking about before you actually dive into your annual planning. That way, once you do, you have a vision, you have some ideas and things like that, and you're good to go. And those are the 4 basic questions for a brighter annual review. Like I said, they are intentionally vague so that you can adapt them to whatever situation you're in. You can let your mind wander sort of inside the boundaries of this question. And as a bonus, that means that you can use them more than once a year and incorporate them into more frequent reviews. The productivity system that I teach inside of the Work Brighter Clubhouse, Practical Productivity, is based on very, very frequent reviews like this. Daily, weekly, monthly, all of it. It is literally 1/3 of the entire system is reflection. Plan, do, review. Literally 1 out of the 3. Because the more often that you do the reviews, the more easier the planning and the doing becomes. So I really encourage you, as tempting as it is to just move on from as much as 2020 as possible, to spend some time reflecting on it instead before doing that. Let me know in the comments if you do reflections or reviews, and how often you do them and what kind of stuff you include in them if you do. And like I said earlier, if you don't have a review process established already, you can download a free version of this Notion template to go through this process through the link below. And if you're interested in more Notion templates for the rest of my practical productivity process, you'll also want to check out the whole Work Brighter with Notion toolkit. You can find the info for all of this below, along with the subscribe button, which you'll definitely want to press for more resources like this one, the comment box where you can tell me about your own reviews, and the thumbs up button to tell YouTube that you like videos like these. Happy rewinding, my friend.